Hello, how are you? It's Lee. I wanted to do a nice short video of myself taking you on a little trip, if you'll like to join me, into a small forested area that has been called Lac Pontchamp here by Gatineau in Quebec. And, well, walk with me and see what this video is about, and see if you'll enjoy it. It's mostly going to be about the holy majesty of the forest, its calm purity and its potent power of relaxation and healing, and of a simpler, more rugged and yet more graceful time, perhaps. Alright, here we go. Quiet echo and the quiet music that goes by the leaves in the trees, whether they be the thin pine needles. And for right now, that's pretty much a lot of them. Yeah, the leaves are still hanging on from last autumn, where they fell and endured a winter. The reason I like coming to places like this is because it takes me back to my own soul's personal past, which I think is, within everybody. We've all, or most of us, I guess, walking the earth now, have lived at least one lifetime, if not quite a few, in natural settings like this, in a let me just call it a pre-city sort of time, pre-metropolis sort of lifestyle. This was the original, the original humans that inhabit this planet lived in nature, very close with it. And, thereafter decided to build other structures and, for trading and marketing and overall conveniences of life, would of course make their small villages and cities and whatnot as population increased. But people that, how should I put it, maybe become quickly perturbed or bothered by all the drama and the nonsense that a body of humans can bring when they're together in an immature state or in a competitive state. And people that wanted to find the natural quiet voice, as well as the very powerful strong voice of God and Spirit, the ancestors of the animals, obviously be attracted to living within, and if not that, then certainly around places like this. Now, I live very close to this small forested area. I also have the fortune of being very close to the Gatineau Mountains, which actually is quite a big mountain range, and I spend a lot of time in there too when I can. And it is very beautiful and extremely spacious. Now, this forest here, as far as animals, there's birds and there's deer, and you have chipmunks and squirrels, etc. But in the Gatineau Mountains, which I will go to very soon again and make a video of, I found mountain lion dens. I've seen salamanders and others, maybe you call them newts, I'm not sure, and all sorts of little creepy crawlies of various sorts. You have large birds of prey. There's stories of bears and wolves. I have yet to see that face to face, and but they're there. And some of my subject material might be difficult for certain people on depending on learning or depending on the style of approach to learning that you might like to take. But I can tell you this, we've all lived as animals before. I hope you believe that. And these places are close to our heart for being in a very natural primordial setting. And of course there are airplanes above. The reflection of my visor, well, nonetheless you can't escape it, all of it, all the time. Someone has left a glove, almost as if giving the I love you. It looks like what? Bicycle glove. You know, I have to strongly recommend that anyone that wants to go on the spiritual path, anyone that wants to consider themselves to be, you know, mystical, someone that's looking to get into the druid or the shamanic lifestyle or way of looking at things, or, you know, trying to. It's hard to say if anyone really is an authentic one by this day and age. You know, I'd only call myself mediocre. I'm trying very hard to have one foot in both worlds, spirit world and in the human, physical, natural world. And the surprises in the spiritual world are amazing when you start getting used to that. One way to sort of make a convenient bridge over into the spirit world is by getting close to the Creator through nature. Now, people will laugh at me and, you know, maybe not like the video, but I can tell you the truth that apart from the animals and birds and insects, etc., and all the flora and fauna basically that you'll see in a forest, there are other dimensional and spiritual beings that live here that are the caretakers. They assist with the growth of plants and other things like this. And yeah, it's hard to believe when you're not told that type of stuff in school, and then you get brainwashed into thinking that anything that you don't see with your eyes is false. Well, I can tell you that those types of things you can see with your eyes in the right way of looking. Now, if we're too stuck on our physical eyes for everything, then we're not going to see everything. Maybe it will just pass by quickly. I often see things in my peripheral vision, and then when I turn to look, I no longer see anything. Now, this is Easter long weekend, and I'm surprised that there's not more people in here, but that's kind of good. Well, if we see any other person while I'm filming, so be it. I try to avoid the humans as much as I can when I come here. But it is what it is. I can't stop the biplanes and whatnot that fly over above me, but that's the situation. Oh, some small birds there. Oh, sorry for the blurriness, I didn't mean to do that. Some tiny little birds over there. You see, and they're not afraid when they sense your spirit, when they feel your aura. The forest is very alive in many, many, many ways, teeming and full of life. And when the human enters the forest, they obviously can sense our self-appointed superiority complex. And if they can tell that you're not there with bad intentions, I mean, animals will bond very quickly. Like, as everybody knows, I mean, we domesticated so many animals, but even the ones in the wild that are not terrifically matched for us to do that, they don't mind us around when we're, of course, in a harmless state. A happy person is harmless, and I don't think enough people are working on their happiness. Too many people are bent on quick material gratifications. Now, that may be all fine, but if that's the only thing you're pursuing, I recommend to switch the mode of your focus of happiness, and thereby getting into permanent states of joy, as opposed to constant non-permanent states of joy which come and go. You know, that's also why I myself, as a modern neo-mediocre shaman, if I want to use that funny name, like to say that I don't recommend the use of drugs or anything like that, and that's my personal choice. And to shamanize that way for the fact that I don't like entering a state that is non-permanent, that I will, like you have a high, then you have a low. Now you might enter into some awarenesses and get some information, sure. I'm not trying to insult the ancient practices of many, many people all over the world. But I'm saying, in my own choice, I prefer the slow and steady and constant, lasting ways of consciousness expansion. I've done some drugs, and that was mostly when I was, a little younger, and found that going into a state and then being disappointed when coming back down. I prefer to alter my mind so that it stays permanently in that high. Now, the life of the forest. What is the life force that permeates into the tree? What is the life force that is resident in the rock? None of this is considered simply dead. I mean, the minerals and the compositions that make up all these little various forms of debris, they all have a life. God's, the Creator's energy went into all things. Now, what spirit is imprisoned or put into these trees? It has been said that God himself gave much of his own life force and is the life thereof of these trees and plants and whatnot. And by making that sacrifice, we get to see how much a parent can love a child. It's also possible too that we lived at one point as trees or shrubs or something like that. It all sounds bizarre, but the point is, how do we really know unless we really investigate? I ask people not to be too quick to dismiss things, because that's when arguments occur. Being too quick to want to make your point without listening to someone else's point. Anyhow, I suppose I'd have to walk fast and look where I'm going better to give certain aspects, but yeah, I love coming to places like this for serenity, for cleansing, and reminding myself, the nature untouched, unfettered and unbothered by human beings does exist in perfect cycle states. Well, I might do another video in just a second. As for now, I'm going to find a different spot so I can sit down and do some sweetgrass burning and maybe talk about that very quickly. Okay, bye.